The host of the evening was Salvador Dali. Yes, the surrealist artist with the ridiculous mustache. Among the guests were actors, a prince, a poet, and Leonor Fini. At one point, Dali announced this: Mademoiselle Fini is the most talented female painter. But, and there it is, a but. Dali complimenting another artist was apparently too good to be true. And according to him, artistic genius lived in the male anatomy. In the male anatomy alone. Which obviously disqualified Leonor Fini. So, how did she respond? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, we need to ask, who was Leonor Fini? Most of you have probably never heard of Leonor Fini. And honestly, me neither. When we think of famous female surrealists, who do you think of? Frida Kahlo? Maybe Leonora Carrington? Maybe Dorothea Tanning? But Leonor Fini, she was right there with them. Just like she was with Dali, Max Ernst, Man Ray, even Christian Dior. You see, Fini wasn't some French artist trying to hang with the cool kids. She was the cool kid. In fact, she refused to even call herself a surrealist because, well, labels were lazy. And Fini, she paved her own path. And apparently worked because she became one of the most sought-after artists of her time. I mean, just oil paintings alone, she painted more than 1,000 of them across a 70-year career. Maybe the question should be, how do we not know her already? But you may already know her work without realizing it. Does this perfume bottle look familiar? Jean Paul Gaultier's design was heavily inspired by Elsa Schiaparelli's perfume called Shocking. It came out in 1937, and guess who designed it? Yup, Leonor Fini. She sculpted the bottle in the curvaceous body shape of Hollywood actress Mae West, which feels very Fini-like, glamorous, theatrical, and definitely provocative. And then there are her paintings. Fini loved painting women, and her women have what I can only describe as main character energy. Sometimes they look like warriors with giant 80s hair. Sometimes they are Fini herself. And cats. Lots of cats. Fini was obsessed with Persian cats, and at one point, she owned 23 of them. Honestly, she might have painted more cats than anyone else in art history. Ever. But there's something else you notice about Fini's women. They exude that quiet energy that says, I lead, you follow. Even when they're doing ordinary things like getting off a train, sewing, simply sitting around, they seem completely in control of themselves. Almost as if they know they're being watched. Meanwhile, Fini's men sleep. They're not weak exactly, but softer, more vulnerable, more malleable in the presence of the female. And you might think, that makes sense from the female gaze. Powerful women, passive men. I don't know. If you hear this story about Fini, you might think differently. This cute boy is Leonor Fini. Okay, I'm kidding. And apparently, her mother dressed her as a boy until she was around 7 years old. A fashion choice? No, it was a disguise. Fini was born in Buenos Aires in 1907 to Italian parents. Her father was wealthy, successful, and by all accounts, extremely controlling. Fini's mother tried to divorce him, but he wasn't having it. So when Leonor was just 18 months old, her mother secretly booked a passage back to Italy. And this was before air travel, so they went on a ship. but crossing the Atlantic didn't put them beyond her father's reach. One of Fini's earliest memories was seeing the world sideways. She was being carried away under the arm of her kidnapper. Yep, her father ordered her kidnapping in Italy all the way from Argentina. The kidnapper was stopped, but can you imagine the fear and how it led to her mother deciding to put her in boys' clothes? Because her father didn't stop there. He tried again and again. All the while, the custody battle dragged on in the courts. So at an early age, Leonor Fini learned that identity could be disguised, performed, and even reinvented for survival. And this experience would come to define Fini and her work. Girl, boy, masculine, feminine, dominant, submissive. The lines blur everywhere in her paintings. And you see it most clearly in her Sphinx. You see, Fini's fascination with the Sphinx started from childhood, when she saw her first Sphinx from Egypt at Miramare Castle in Trieste. But her Sphinx isn't an ancient monster obsessed with riddles. It's something caught between a beast and a human, ferocious yet sensual, and even maternal. Here in this painting, watching over yet another sleeping man, is Fini, as a bejeweled black sphinx. But is she there to protect or to seduce? Fini also painted the shepherdess of the sphinxes, and this time, Fini is the guardian of this group of beautiful but slightly dangerous looking sphinxes. I mean, why wouldn't she be? And lines blurred in Fini's love life as well. Stanislaw and Constantine were both long-term partners of Fini. The three lived together in the same house for 3 decades until their death. And don't be too surprised, their relationships weren't exclusive either. So labels, categories, institutions, Fini just didn't care for them. I mean, she even refused to participate in women-only art exhibitions because she was simply an artist. And to Fini, identity was almost theatrical, like something people put on. And Fini was very good at transforming herself. Not only that, there was nothing she enjoyed more than shocking people with her exaggerated, fantastical costumes. She lent her talent to costume and set designs for films, theater, ballet, and opera. But even at home, while painting, she dressed dramatically. And owls, cats, mythical creatures, nothing was too strange for Fini. She performed for herself, and she loved it. But the interesting thing is that Fini's paintings feel different. They feel exposed, honest. Her masks disappear, and what's left feels strange, vulnerable, and deeply personal. So tell me, did Leonor Fini lack genius because she wasn't born a man? Oh, her response to Dali? It was this. I'm sure she had heard far worse. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next time.